We all want to live a happy, productive life, but sometimes we just need a little help. Our Coach on Call experts provide strategies to help you live your best life now. Joining me today is Heidi Rome, an autism mom coach and founder of Mom's Spectrum Oasis. Heidi's Autism Hope Mindset System empowers a mom to take back her life while creating a bright future for her Spectrum child. She's here today to discuss forgiveness and the autism journey. Welcome, Heidi. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me, Joan.
So, Heidi, we all hear so much about the importance of forgiveness, but can you explain to us how forgiveness plays into the autism journey? What is there to forgive?
Well, you're right, Joan. You might be surprised to think that there is anything to forgive on the autism journey. After all, no one deliberately or even unintentionally hurt anyone else, right? It's nature. It's medical. Autism is a neurological condition that shows up after birth with impact that ranges unpredictably across a full spectrum from unnoticeably minor to life-alteringly profound. So who or what is there to forgive? Well, you may not be surprised to learn that there are actually several parties. The first one would be God. Why would God cause an innocent little child, my child, to suffer? My baby is too young to have done anything wrong to deserve such a harsh sentence. Many of us become very angry with God. I know I did. And there's a burden, though. There's a burden of having something to forgive. So in the case of needing to forgive God or wanting to forgive or thinking about forgiving God, the burden there is rage and fear. It's a double whammy of powerful negative feelings that can really make you question your personal faith and can drain the joy from your life. The next party, and this might be a surprise, is yourself. Many autism moms have shared with me that they blame themselves in some way for their child's autism. I think it gives us a false sense of control. If I'm to blame for it, that means that I have some control over it. And so maybe, just as I caused it, I can fix it. I know that I blame myself. My husband and I were both older parents, a factor correlated with autism. We used assisted reproduction, and Ethan, my son with autism, was a frozen embryo. And both of those factors are also correlated with an increased autism risk. We moved from New York to New Jersey, the state with the highest rate of autism in the country. So we can blame New Jersey for this. Mm-hmm. I ate 2 tuna sandwiches during pregnancy due to my cravings, and so maybe I ingested some mercury that could have harmed the developing baby in some way. Ethan was a C-section, so no microbiome protecting trip down the birth canal for him. He was vaccinated against 6 diseases in 2 injections within 10 seconds at age 6 weeks. And that day is actually my own regretful, recurring do-over fantasy, in my mind's eye even now. Why didn't I spread out those vaccinations? Ethan received massive doses of antibiotics during a 2-night hospital stay for RSV at age 3 months as he struggled to breathe. And, best for last, the last panel of genetic testing done on Ethan when he was 10 years old showed that he may have, it's not conclusive, a rare form of Fragile X. So that's a bonus blame point because since the defective gene is on the X, the female chromosome, it is carried by mom, which is me. Mm-hmm. Wow. So can I forgive myself for wanting a second child so desperately that I was not going to let anything or anyone get in my way? For closing my eyes to the risks and statistics and news items and really denying that there was a possibility that my script for a perfect family might not play out exactly as I had insisted upon envisioning. So the burden here is grief and guilt. And then finally, who else is there to blame on the autism journey? Everyone else in the world who does not have a child with autism. And so that's kind of most of the world to forgive. and especially the family and friends who disappeared in the months following the diagnosis, the people who just did not know what to say or what to do in the face of my own unbearable pain and my child's difficult, off-putting behaviors. So the burden there of having something to forgive is shame and isolation.
So, Heidi, you've been able to get through all of what you just described. From that experience, what do you believe are the benefits of forgiveness?
Well, I am defining forgiveness as the choice to lay down those burdens, the guilt, the shame, the isolation, the grief, the regret. The choice to lay those burdens down and to not focus anymore on the very thing that causes us the most pain. So imagine how delightful, what a relief that would be. My father used to describe this idea through the analogy of taking off your tight shoes, that feeling. Sometimes you don't know how uncomfortable you've been and the pain you've been putting up with in the background until you've taken action to take care of what you really need. So forgiveness is the choice to accept with love and compassion the reality of a situation that has already happened, rooted in the past where it can no longer change. It is the realization that all of us human beings are doing the best we can with what we know and believe right now, and that we can't expect anything from people that they cannot or are not ready yet to give. There's no judgment here. It's not about right or wrong. We didn't know then what we do know now. Because what we focus on is what grows in our lives, it is time to let go of these burdens that anchor us miserably to a past memory or past decision. Forgiveness lets us consider something closed, finished, done. Enough already. It lets us then uproot the pain, to build a tunnel to travel away from the remains of the old suffering, and to rejoice that the acute illness of grief and fear is done, and we are on the road to recovery. Finally, forgiveness allows us to replace the old story, the old victim identity, with a new, more empowered, happier story and identity, so that we can live with the past without being its prisoner. On the autism journey, we can only move forward from here and now, choosing to keep only the learning that serves us into the future, and releasing any beliefs, expectations, rules, or behaviors that cause us pain and separate us from God, from ourselves, or from others. We can't control the fact that the autism diagnosis happened or how we or other people chose then to respond to it. What we can control is ourselves now, our own choices, our own emotions to focus on, our own path where our child's and our own greatest potential lies. When we let go of our burdens, our hands and our hearts and our minds are now open and free to connect with others, to accept help, and to create new possibilities and a new love-based, not fear-based reality for our amazing special children and for ourselves.
Heidi, thank you so much for joining us. If you would like to learn more about Heidi and her work, you can visit momsspectrumoasis.com. That's moms with an S, momsspectrumoasis.com. And as always, to hear more from Heidi, you can visit cyacyl.com/Heidi. We'll be right back.